It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gager.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. If you are listening on the podcast later on, thank you very much for subscribing. We appreciate it. If you're watching on the live stream and you've not yet subscribed to the podcast, all you have to do is search Two Guys and a Goalie on all your podcasting platforms. It's Nielson, Kass, Gager, and Hernan Salas with you once again. Chris Abbott from CoolBet, friend of the podcast, sponsor of the podcast, going to pop by a little bit later on. I know he was basically in on everything in that game last night, one of his heaviest bet games in a long time. So we'll discuss that game. We'll get to that game here right away as well. Lots to get to. Gager, what's this game that we all need to sign up for and do as a team?
F1 Clash. So you're basically the principal. You make the decisions whether to come in, pit, change the tires, things like that. You got to build your car, and get better parts. You got to update your drivers. Like I'm using, am I using Mazepin and who was? Oh, geez,
Albin?
No, I'm using Schumacher right now because he's better in. I'm racing on it's a monsoon out there right now, so he's better in the wet conditions.
How
You
much
are
money have you
hardcore on
spent
this.
on this game? I mean, are you going to have anything left for CoolBet?
No, I don't do that. I did that once with Clash of Clans, and that got away from me. I think I put too much money into that, but I can't. I'm not putting money into it this time. I'm going. Wow, we'll see if there's a deal. Maybe.
Kass, you're a gamer. Like, do you do a lot of in-game purchasing, or is that off limits?
I don't know. I don't really. But I'm not, it depends what you mean by gamer. I don't.
Well, you play games.
Yeah, but I don't have a ton of time to pour into stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I hear you.
No, I don't. I got some buddies though who, one of them in particular that's he's a doctor now, and he doesn't have much time, but he basically is like, for the longest time you're just that kid, and he's like, now I can basically pay to win and beat these kids, and he's like, It makes me feel really good about myself, and I can afford it, and it's pretty funny.
That's an interesting strategy, actually.
I was down the rabbit hole of TikTok the other night and actually saw the guy, and it showed him going up to a Holiday Inn Express or something like that, and just the captions were at the bottom. Told the wife I was on it going on a week.
I saw that one.
He went up and he was set up with whatever Call of Duty, and he goes, "Okay, boys, where are we dropping in?" or whatever. And I was just like, for a week in a hotel room,
just playing Call of Duty,
which is awesome. You know what I did actually? Yes, the last couple of days for some of my buddies that that I do play games with, is we basically, our wives all make fun of us. We communicate in GIFs or GIFs or whatever. We barely text. It's just you just communicate using GIFs. Is it I went to my wife and I got her to go to their wives and send embarrassing pictures and videos and stuff. And I just spent 2 hours in the evening just figuring out how to turn everything into GIFs. And so now all my GIFs are of them. I'm just sending. So I don't know how long until we see a Two Guys GIF where they, have me doing some dumb face on here that they're gonna send.
That's an easy one to do, right?
Yeah,
Track that down. Get you
one.
talking analytics.
Yeah,
don't give them ideas.
Fired up.
Yeah, exactly. Hernan, you're on F1 Clash, right?
Oh yeah. I'm not very good.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
Well, you gotta learn, right?
Yeah, my first race I didn't finish because my tires were were gone. So
Rookie.
I was like, rookie mistake. But it's a fun game, man. When you're just laying around, and it's good stuff, man.
All right, speaking of just laying around, I guess that's what we did, kind of watching the Oilers and the Leafs last night. Gager, the Smith goal, the first one. Now, they came back, took the 2-1 lead, and then gave it away before the end of the period. But where did he go wrong on that one? Or was it just one of those, was he didn't move, didn't track the puck well enough? Or was it just one of those things that happens to a goalie? I want your thoughts on that. That one kind of rattled me a bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit unlucky, I would say.
Yeah.
Pucks don't usually come back off the boards that quickly, but if you watch goalies when the puck goes wide, or even to the point in practice, you'll see their head movement tracking the puck, and then usually if they're down, they're sliding back to seal off that post, just in case something like that happens, right? You saw how Smith reacted during it. he was reacting more to Pajama John's reaction to the puck more than he saw
That's a good point.
where the puck was itself. Like, so by looking at Tavares and seeing his excitement and coming towards the net, he actually overplayed. It goes, oh my gosh, where's the puck? Like, he almost, you could see him, he panicked, and he ends up kicking the puck instead of actually tracking, moving your head like every goalie is taught, finding the puck and sealing back on that post. So I would say it's 20% unlucky, 80% Mike Smith's fault, because if you watch him going forward at this point, you'll see if a puck goes wide and he goes down, he's sliding back. Everyone does that. Any goalie does that. So little bit of a mistake, probably could chalk that up to just not playing that much, really.
Hernan, what was the text line like? Oh, you did you do post game last night?
No, I'm not back till Monday, but I log into the inbox from home just to see the craziness and a lot of crazy trade proposals. I know Hallie tweeted out someone saying trade McDavid now. Like, you're better off.
I got one of
getting
those texts today too.
Yeah. So I mean, people upset. Listen, Dusty, I was listening to you in the morning, and I think you said it good. You're like, they worked hard, but they still didn't play well enough to win that game. Like, they worked their butts off. They did. They were right there. They couldn't kill a penalty, and that was their doing. But in the end, you got to feel for. And listen, we're honest about the team and certain players and all that. But you got to feel when you see a guy like Draisaitl there who just was out of answers yesterday and visibly frustrated with what's going on. And they had a shot of him on the bench at the end too, kind of just shaking his head like, when the hell are we going to get out of this? But I mean, it's. I know we're going to get to it, but one more game, then you get a long break. So this team is just really hardcore, Dusty, and the fans want heads to roll, and I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, and we'll get to the break and what it means for them coming up, like you said, and we got to talk about it. We'll go there in a second. But Kass, what was the takeaway for you from last night's loss? At least, where do you come out on that one?
It was disappointing. Like, I feel bad for them in that I think the intensity for what they could bring was there, but they were playing a team that was way better than them. And a couple posts, if those pucks would have gone in, it could have been a lot worse than it was. With that being said, they kind of hung around there and they had an opportunity. So it was just disappointing. I still think, like, this team to me just needs a spark. They just need one person to go out and do one amazing thing to change this and to ultimately save this season, which is crazy to think that that's what could it be. It could be one play in one game, one person could completely turn this thing around, and that's what they're going to need. As it is, they're heading into this little break thing here right away, and I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. So, maybe bag skate them 5 times or something. My talk on the post-game show yesterday was, and I think it's true, is that I think you need to give them a day or two off or whatever, and then basically battle drill for like 4 days straight. Like, just keep the compete level up, because that's really the only way you're going to get out of this.
Gager, Kass is kind of right? Like, you need one good thing to happen to this group right now, and that would really change a lot, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, Kass, you said they they hit post, but I mean, really. Yeah, I broke down the first goal there, what I thought, but it is kind of lucky. And the second goal goes off 2 Oilers before it goes in too. So, I mean, and even the third goal, I hate to put it on Mike Smith a bit, but I don't understand his setup on the
was he too deep
face-offs.
Or what was going on there?
I don't. I feel bad saying this, but
you're the goalie. Break it down.
In a face-off on your own end, right? I look to see if, first of all, if the centerman's on his forehand where he can shoot the puck, okay? So then I'm like, okay, I got to play him honest just in case he tries to whack it and go straight in. Usually it doesn't happen, whatever. But then I look and see where the danger comes from, where he's going to try to win it back and where it's going to go for possibly like a set play on a one-timer or something like that. And I watch Smith, and he's so deep and on his post and off to the side. And what happens, it gets the draw back, goes back to the middle, and he looks like he's surprised the puck's there. And he's almost on the goal line when the guy's at the top of the circles, ripping the puck. I think even one more step out, he's in a better position. If you remember the Ehlers goal in the playoffs in overtime off the draw, he's sitting on his post. They win the draw. He's kind of looking over. That's what they're trying to do. I don't understand that. So I thought Mike Smith played well, but those are two there's one kind of unlucky, one maybe he should have had, and another one he should have had. So, the Oilers need a break, but they need some more consistent level of goaltending too. They just haven't got that.
Can I just add to that? Because I think Craig Simpson said, why Mike Smith's too deep in the net. But just to add to that goal, guys, the Oilers win the faceoff.
Yeah.
And Slater Cuckoo can't make a play. And it pops up right to Ilya Mikheyev there. And so, Gager, you're spot on there with Mike Smith, because Craig Simpson said the same thing. He's like, he's too deep in his net to face that shot head on. And, guys, when things are going wrong, let's just go back to Ryan McLeod's opportunity. And then it's funny because Sportsnet says, what a save by Jack Campbell. I'm like, well, he didn't really save it.
He didn't even save it.
Passed it right into him. So, but that's when things are just not going to turn around for this team in that game, when you have an opportunity like that. And he's a young kid, and he has his head down thinking that Campbell's there, but that's a wide open net, boys, and that's the lead right there.
That's I got a lot of legs on my tweet with what I said after he did that. So that was good, but I don't know. Well, we'll probably get into this when just about ice time. I hated playing against guys like Brendan Perlini. He reminds me of David Perron a little bit. He'll shoot the puck from anywhere and hard. And the thing that Perlini does that so much better than everyone else is he actually makes the goalie make a save half the time when he does shoot it. So I don't understand how he scores and he's shooting the puck. He's getting into places that are important offensively to succeed, and he doesn't play that much.
And his shot's heavy, Gager. You can tell. Yeah.
And he doesn't
got one of the best shots on the team.
Yeah. He does. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's the best shot on the team.
No, one of the best, though. One of the best.
He shoots it. He doesn't care where it is. Connor could be wide open for a tap in on the side, and if Perlini's got it in the slot, he's shooting it, and that's great to know. That settles everything out. Well, okay, Brendan's got it. I got to go to the net because he's shooting it. He's not passing it to me. Yeah. Everyone's sitting waiting for a nice little tap in half the time and doing all that stupid stuff. But whatever.
I like how he's like me on a video game in that offensive zone with his one-timer loaded the entire time. He's just looking at people and he's ready to get that puck and let it rip, which is what the team needs. I mean, they need more guys like that for sure. All right, let's just dive into it. We got to talk about it. Gager, you said you did want to talk about ice time distribution. Anything else outside of Perlini? In this situation, would you like to see him just get a little bit more? Or I think 4 guys played 20 minutes last night. Everybody else was around 13-ish, 14-ish last night.
I just thought we would see more. I know it was distributed, but especially with Connor out and the Nuge out, I thought you would see. I thought the Oilers played great when they played against Seattle a few games back, and it seemed like all lines were going through. All of them are playing the same. I would just like to see Tippett have more consistency through the entire lineup and not going back to a fourth line after they've been sitting for 9 minutes, right? I heard a guy say and Kass could probably talk. Well, yeah, I don't want to. So Kass could talk I don't want to say Kass he'd ever played. That's not nice, but.
But you were in that spot, right, Kass? That's the truth.
No, it happened all the time.
Yeah, sitting for 8 minutes and then going out there, you were probably more worried about making a mistake than actually doing something constructive on the ice, right? Because you want another shift.
One of the toughest things to do is you maybe don't get a shift for 8 minutes, 9 minutes. You get one shift, and then the period ends. Oh. And then you're in the dressing room and you're trying to do whatever you can to stay warm, and then someone takes a penalty at the start of the period. And then the other team takes a penalty at the start of the period, and it's another 8 or 9 minutes, and then you're on the ice again. And trying to keep any kind of consistency, rhythm, momentum, anything during that time it's near impossible. It really is. You're taken right out of the game. And I've said that, and I think that with this group, one of the problems post-training camp was that you have a third and a fourth line with a lot of guys that aren't on any special teams, and you don't give them enough 5-on-5 ice. And I know you need to get Connor out there. I know you need to get Leon out there. I know you need to get your goal-scoring guys out there, but rotate them through with your third and fourth line guys. Give those guys a little bit more of an opportunity. I think intensity-wise, it strips your team. I think energy-wise, it strips your team. Momentum-wise, it strips your team. And I kind of was even thinking yesterday heading into the game that maybe with Connor being out, this would be an opportunity for those guys because it's like they can be like, oh, there's more minutes for us. We're going to get a little bit more of an opportunity. And I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And I understand against Toronto, it gets a little bit different because you're trying to line match as much as you can with the quality of some of their players. But I think from a coaching standpoint, I think it's fair. I think there's been a lot of criticism of Dave Tippett that isn't fair. He can't solve Mikko Koskinen turning over a puck behind the net. Like there's nothing he can do about that sort of thing. However, the way that he manages some of the ice time with the Lions, I think is fair to critique him on and to say that that's something personally I feel he could do better is involving those third and fourth line guys in the game.
It's like he runs to them too much. He's running on soft tires too long. Tippett. He's got to put the hards on once in a while and run with those. He's running out of traction.
Are we not going to talk about, Jesse Puljujarvi? Like, he's not on the number one power play unit. He's not out there for the extra attacker. And no disrespect to the players that Tippett put out there, but that's on Tippett, man. Like, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I don't know why you would run Kyle Turris on your top power play unit as opposed to the guy who usually gets to play on your top power play unit. Like, it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. And then, if you want to make a case, and I know some people when I kind of said, why isn't Puljujarvi out there to try to tie the game late? I know a lot of people say, well, he hasn't been going lately. Well, if you're playing guys who are going lately, then Brendan Perlini should have been on the ice. He was one of your better players last night. So, you can't tell me Tippett's just putting everybody who's going right now on the ice in that situation. So, I got a text after from somebody around the team that said, well, maybe they're managing his ice time a bit, coming back from COVID protocol and things like that. But if that's the case, you have two key offensive situations in that game. The one power play you got and trying to tie a game late, and the guy who has the second most points of anybody in your lineup that night isn't on the ice in either situation. It doesn't get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But we point to that. Gager pointed to Perlini. Cass talked about how the bottom six guys just get taken right out of the rotation. These are all, a coaching issue as far as how he manages his lineup.
But the one guy that the guy who would message you and said, well, it might be COVID. But the one guy you put out there for the extra skater just came back from COVID. Hasn't been played in 10 days?
That's a good point. I know. It's a little frustrating for sure. But what are you going to do? Big game
he needs
against
to grow the
Ottawa.
stash.
Yeah.
If Tippett grows the stash, I
Season
think
saved.
Yeah. Needs it.
Or at least wear a fake one like Bobby Valentine that time. He had to go put on the glasses and the mustache. Do something. All right, boys. Let's. Chris App's going to be by in about 5 minutes. Let's stick with the Oilers. Hernan, what do we got to talk about?
Yeah, so they're off here up until Monday. We all think that game is going to go against the Ottawa Senators, but then they're off for a while, right, guys? Like, they're off that whole week into next week. There's probably going to be more games postponed. So outside of getting like McDavid and Barry and Ryan and hopefully Nuge, who's out 3 to 4 weeks, back to the lineup, like, I guess we got to look at it both ways. Like, if they win, it's kind of a little different. At least they won a game. But if they lose, like, is this break for the Edmonton Oilers a good thing or a bad thing when the team is really so bad? Like, it's probably good because they're going to get a lot more practice time. They're going to get some healthy bodies back. But let's just say, like, if they drop that game on Monday, like, this is a team that probably wants to get back at it as soon as possible to kind of, try to win a game. But sitting out for possible 10 days to 2 weeks, like, is it good or bad what's coming for the Oilers right now? Or does it all depend on that game on Monday? Does one win change it?
I think I'm going to say it's a good thing. I thought it was a bad thing after the Seattle game because I really thought they had built some momentum there.
Yeah.
But just because of the way things are going for this team and how many guys are out and injured and have COVID and things like that. And like you said, Hernan, getting some practice time in. I think it's good to have a reset at this point. It's kind of the halfway mark, almost getting close to it here. So refocus, regroup, and hit the last half of the season running.
Kass, what do you got? You're torn on it.
I think it all depends. If they win, I think it all depends on how they win.
Yeah.
It all depends on the manner of which they win the game, if they win. Now, if they lose, I think a break is okay. Like, I think you can use it to reset. It's just how you structure what you're doing in the break is, I think, dramatically different depending on if you win or lose this last game and how you win or lose this last game. Like, what type of effort you get, what type of response you get from the players, what do they come out here with? But yeah, I am a little bit torn on this because I think there's good arguments to be made both directions on it.
I think I'd lean towards it being a good thing. And Kass, you make a fair point with how the game goes on Monday. I mean, but I think it leads to be a good thing because it's such a long break. Like, it's a full-blown mid-season reset training camp if you essentially want it to be. So, forget everything that's happened in the last month. Come out with the jump that you had at the beginning of the year. Maybe you can make some tweaks to the power play to throw some teams off or something like that. And I know people in the comments section right now are saying perfect time to get a new head coach in there. And I don't think that'll happen, but if it does,
yeah.
I mean, you don't get that opportunity very often to have that big window leading into some games. But we'll finish up with, we got to talk about it, myself and Kass, after we chat with Chris Abbott here from CoolBet, who I think is probably pretty happy betting-wise. I think his account's pretty good with how it went last night. Look at that guy smiling like a pig in the mud. Abbott, you cash in last night or what?
15 seconds left. Hit the puck line. Yeah, it was a beautiful thing, and it was one of those puck line goals that never goes in, like the little dribbler down the ice that usually takes a hard right somewhere around the hash mark. So, yeah, I was happy about it. But yeah, I've been listening to what you guys were saying, and there's a whole lot of frustration there for sure. But I mean, that Edmonton team comes into Toronto last night, loses a game where they scored 2 goals and only had 1 technically scored against them. So it was an interesting game. But when I look at the Oilers, man, how many games do they give up the first goal? All of them, right?
Almost all of them for the last 2 months.
They're playing from behind every night. So that's not an accident either. Like, that's not coincidence. And I don't know enough to say why that's happening. I know the goaltending's been shaky. I Googled their goaltending coach last night. Same guy since 2014. Know that Edmonton has not turned out a whole bunch of goaltending studs since 2014. So I don't know, maybe there's an internal look that needs to be made there. I don't know the guy, never heard of him, but yeah, that one was curious to me. I was like, why have I never heard this guy's name? If there's some freaky things going on with your goalies for a number of years, maybe you look at that position. I don't know.
Gager?
Head coaches.
Head coaches.
That's what I say.
Head coaches don't usually deal with the goalies. You're right, and that's what they'll say. They're like, I don't deal with the goalies. That's a goalie coach. Well, all right. What's the goalie coach saying? I don't know.
Gager, how much, when you look at, Schwartz has been around for, like Chris said, like almost a decade now, and a lot of guys haven't come in here and had much success. Smith had a great year last year. I mean, that was nice. Talbot had the one year where he was top 5 in Vezina voting, but then kind of fell off after that, has gone on somewhere else and been pretty good. Dubnyk got better after he left as well. As a guy who's had goalie coaches, how much of an impact do those guys have on your game?
Not a lot. I mean, you get to that level that you can't. There's not a lot to teach a guy that's gotten to the NHL. There's little things that you can refine, definitely. And when your game trails off, there's things that you can work on. But I mean, it's more about the relationship and talking about the game, and I would say it's more on the mental side than actual like structure and things, because I mean, both goalies, all 3 goalies play differently. It's not one style of play, but a goalie coach in the NHL, it's not only just coaching your own goalies, right? I think there's another side to Dustin Schwartz that I don't know what it's about. I know I've never met the guy myself. I hear he's extremely intense.
Very intense.
And I don't know why it's always mentioned how hard he shoots the puck. I mean, maybe they should put him on the power play. I'm not sure, but I don't. There's a lot of things that go into like the shootouts and the scouting of other goalies, and maybe the way he structures his reports and does things like that. So there's a lot of other things that go into being a goalie coach in the NHL, but it's quite interesting to see that he's been around for a long time, and there has been 2 years where I would say goalies played at a Vezina caliber level, but for that long a period of time, I think you should have a little bit more success in that position for sure.
Well, my take on that is exactly what you're saying. It's the mental part. You're not, most of these goalie coaches aren't as good as the guys that they're coaching, and most coaches aren't as good as the guys they're coaching in a lot of realms. But it's the mental part. It's the confidence part. When I see soft goals going in or inopportune goals, like that's 1,000% mental to me. And if you have somebody there that's presenting maybe making you more confident or what have you. I just go back. I don't know if you guys saw Bruce Boudreau speak to Ray and Dregs this week. And, he was saying that he walked in, he just kept telling the guys they were good. Like the guys might be in the NHL, but if your confidence is shot, your confidence is shot. And I thought that was really interesting.
I was always hoping that one goalie coach that's done really well, I think, is Bill Ranford. I mean, LA has turned out so many goalies and backups that have gone off to be starters. Maybe they weren't number one goalies, but they were sought after from other teams because of the way they played. Billy's good. I don't say you have to play in the NHL to be a good goalie coach, but to have that extra little bit of experience and winning a Conn Smythe and Team Canada and having the success that Billy Ranford and Billy was like one of the best conditioned athletes I'd ever seen too, right? He taught me a lot on that respect. So I always thought I heard rumblings that maybe he would have came back just having that Oiler connection. I think he would be a great goalie coach to have just because of the experience and being able to relate a little bit more on that level having played. But I see I don't know if that's a green screen again, Chris, but that bottle of spiced rum in the back, did that get taken down last night, and is that a rosé beside it? I don't know.
There's a backup bottle of spiced rum, so one of them's got about a quarter. There's a couple of bottles of wine that were gifted to me. Yeah.
Sweet,
I like that.
Sweet.
There's not a green screen. That is full on there. Yeah.
I'm going to do a green screen with a counter and a bottle of spiced rum. I think that really sets the scene. Abba, what are things like around the Leafs right now in Toronto? Like, there must be a pretty good vibe around that team, right?
Crowd was just buzzing there at the building last night. It was fantastic. I think people are feeling confident about the team. I mean, I joke about it that I always like to bet against them because I feel like they're overvalued, and the old joke that your dad wants the Leafs to be the pallbearer at the funeral so they can let him down one last time. But I mean, I think it's overall positive. I think when you look at what's going on with the Oilers right now, you're hearing a lot of the same things that you heard with the Maple Leafs over the last 2 years. They're not deep enough. The goaltending's not good enough. The coach is no good. And obviously winning fixes everything, but they do have a Bill Ranford coach goaltender that's playing very well. They've got some young guys who have matured. I would say that Kyle Dubas has found a few good free agent signings this time around when he's throwing that $900,000 against the wall to see if it sticks. So they're a little deeper. This positive, but still, like in their own end, they're not that good. They've got some defensemen that are a little in over their heads from time to time. So it'll remain to be seen if this is another great regular season for the Toronto Maple Leafs when the playoffs come. I'm really curious to see because you talk about the Oilers' second power play unit might not have a whole lot of sharpshooters on it. That Maple Leafs PP2 isn't that sexy either a lot of nights. So it remains to be seen, but I think the confidence level is good, but it's still not going to matter until they win a playoff round.
What are you on tonight? NHL, what betting wise? What have you already got your money on?
You know what? I'm busy today, so I haven't really. I'm looking at the Lightning in regulation. Even though I've made money off the Flames recently. That's been really good to me. Always bet over in the first period of a Chicago Blackhawks game. They're playing Arizona, so that's all usually a good thing. And I've been backing the Rangers a lot lately. You got Gerard Gallant going back into the Fortress tonight, so plus 125 for the Rangers on the money line. They've been looking really good. But then again, so is Vegas. Like Vegas, I thought started the season kind of slowly, and they've been outstanding lately as well. So yeah, but Rangers are getting my money until they lose.
Well, good luck, buddy. We'll catch up next week.
All right, guys. Cheers. Thanks so much.
There you go. That's Chris Abbott from Coolbet Canada. By the way, Pittsburgh plays Philly tonight, and there's like a rule of just always bet the over in Philly, Pittsburgh. So that one's set at 6.5 right now, I think, if you want to get on that. Actually, this ties in nicely with what Kass wanted to talk about today. We got to talk about it. Kass, where do you want to go?
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly talk about the current best teams in the East and the West. See if you guys disagree with me here. And I think we might have to go check the tape, but I think these are still the teams that I said before the season I had as my top two teams. And I still had them picked to come out of the West and come out of the East, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with the Colorado Avalanche in the West and with the Carolina Hurricanes in the East. And I know from a winning percentage standpoint, they both sit atop the league, and you have to take that with a grain of salt because they still got to play those games and win those games. But man, I watched those two teams and I watched the depth that they have, particularly with Colorado right now. And it wasn't the fastest start to the season for the Avalanche, but they are a spicy team. Pretty fun to watch. They're a group that can really beat you in a variety of different ways. Like they can overpower you, they can outskill you, they can outspeed you. They to me are just a really, really complete team. And a lot of fun to watch if you get a chance to watch. I mean, that Cale Makar goal the other day was just a beautiful goal, pretty ridiculous. But they have more than one guy that can make plays like that, and they haven't been healthy or had everyone in the lineup for most of the season, which is kind of crazy. And the Carolina Hurricanes, getting the chance to watch them here live a couple weeks ago, kind of a similar type of team. I think they're a little bit more, I don't think they can beat you in quite as many ways as Colorado, but their compete level is off the charts. And you combine that with a whole bunch of, I would say, underrated skill from their forwards, guys that maybe don't get nearly as much love, from people like Chris Abbott and the Toronto media with their skill and ability. And I still look at these two teams and think they are, in my opinion, far and away the two best teams in the league. I think will continue to be down the stretch, and I still have them picked as who's coming out of the West and the East in the playoffs. That
would be a great Stanley Cup final.
It would be.
I'd pay money I'd try to get some free tickets, let's face it, but I would I'd be tempted to pay money to go watch one of those games.
Yeah, and Kass is right on with Colorado because they haven't played a lot, right? They've had a lot of games. They're only at 29 games, and and this is a team that's lost their top four players, like their top three forwards and their top defenseman and their top goaltender for a significant time, and they don't miss a beat. Like what Kadri's doing there is just unreal right now. Like that, Shushkin's playing excellent. Like I think I agree with Kass with the West. On the East, I love Carolina, but I almost think you gotta. Well, again, Carolina's played like 3-4 less games, and they're right there with everyone, but. I think you almost have to throw Tampa and Washington into the conversation as well. Like I know Washington has 8 OT losses, but they're a hell of a team. 2 good goaltenders. And Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay, right? Started a little bit slow, but they've really turned it around. So I'll go, just to be different, I'll go Tampa in the East, but I'll agree with Kass in the West, Colorado.
I mean, even the Rangers, right? Like they looked good. They were first place in the league after they beat the Oilers, were they not? Like
they had the most points in the league when they beat the Oilers.
Yeah. So I mean that's going to be a very interesting Eastern Conference playoffs. I think a lot more interesting than the West. I think it's a little bit more settled there.
You're right, Gager. Like, I think it's unanimous that we'd all agree with Colorado in the West, but none of you guys have mentioned Florida yet in the East.
Yeah.
And they put up 9 on Tampa last time they played.
Yeah.
Like, and Barkov and Huberdeau, as far as 1-2 punches go, I put them up against anybody in the league. But they've got like Verhaeghe and Duclair and some of these other guys. And Bobrovsky's playing like that Bobrovsky who, won a Vezina, then was off for a bit, then won another Vezina, like. So I think that top part of the East, Carolina, New York, Washington, Toronto, Tampa, Florida, like the Eastern Conference playoffs, boys, are going to be giant versus giant versus giant. Like, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait for the East playoffs.
And the Penguins have quietly won 9 straight. So.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I still think Carolina's the best, but you are right. I think the East is a lot closer than the West right now in terms of parity between the top teams. I think the top guys in the West are a lot. They're further ahead. Can I actually jump on something? A little change of topic here.
Yeah.
But how much would the Edmonton Oilers love having Kadri?
They'd love it. What? I don't even know.
No, Kadri. Like, and I remember when he went to Colorado, and people were like, "Oh, this guy just gets suspended in the playoffs, and this and that and this." Is like, he, in my opinion, is exactly the player that Edmonton needs. A guy that toes the line, that walks the line, they can change a game with something physical. They can get people fired up by doing something stupid on the ice, but can also put goals away and matches it with effort. So man, I would love to have him on my team right now.
Yeah, Cass, he's perfect. When I think I was talking about it last, just the fact that the Oilers don't have anyone that initiates. And by doing that, you drag everyone else into the fight, right? Like, oh, geez, Kadri went and did this. I got to go in there now. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, everyone's got to get in there at that point and just gets everyone.
You almost force them.
It forces them to get into the game. Yeah, to have a player like that. So, yeah, maybe that. Oh, they're not trading him. I guarantee that.
No.
Before we get to keep it or clip it, I want to just quickly talk about the way the goaltending situation sets up with the Oilers. And I know a lot of people are like, got to pull the trigger and trade, got to do something, got to bring Skinner back up. And maybe you just need Mike Smith to stay healthy and get hot and play like he did last year, and that might be what ends up happening for this group. But some of the names that have popped up out there: Jake Allen, Yaroslav Halak, Korpisalo, Georgiev, if you can go get him. Gager, do any of these names, like, do you hear that and you go, boom, that's the guy, turn the season around right now? I think a few of them are like, oh, it'd be worth a look if you can make it happen without giving up something significant. But do you view any of that caliber of goalie as the guy who's going to come in here and make the Oilers a contender?
I played really good a couple weeks ago out at the U of A. I don't know if anyone watched that, but Korpisalo, I would be interested to see him.
Not having a great year, but like a pretty good technical goaltender, right?
I think has that same kind of style, that new style as Skinner does. Like, it's just a really solid and getting in front and not flailing around and under control in the net. Like, the Oilers, like, I don't think they need a, like, and it's just, and Mike Smith can provide that when he's on, but man, he's getting injured all the time. Yeah, I'd lean more towards Korpisalo than any of the other guys there.
I like Halak, 36. I mean, you need a goalie for this year because eventually you got to go out and get someone. Korpisalo makes sense because he's low money, Gager. He's younger. I don't think Georgiev or however you say his name is. I don't think New York trades him. And Jake Allen, I mean, I think all guys would be a bit of an upgrade here in Edmonton, but yeah, I don't know, Dusty. I think Halak and Korpisalo are the more realistic. I don't think Allen or Georgiev are realistic at this point.
Yeah, Korpisalo, last 2 years, 881 and 894 save percentage. So if Tippett goes and trades for him and brings him in here and he puts up the same numbers, people are going to lose their mind. I mean, I've always liked Jaro Halak. I'd be pretty interested to see how he would look. But Kass, anything jump off the page for you? Like, it's not a sexy list.
No, that's the issue. That's the problem.
Like Mike Smith last year was better than all of these guys.
Yeah, I kind of like, part of me from just a pure realistic standpoint, like, doesn't Jake Allen kind of strike you as being the most realistic to actually land out of this with where a team's at and the contract number?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
That's the only one that could kind of,
Because he's
But
what,
does
he's like
Nico go
280
back? Who goes back the other
285.
way?
That's the issue. But for Jake Allen and for the Montreal Canadiens, I mean, he's a pretty cheap contract, but he's still got one more year, and I don't know. You're in a rebuild, so do you try to get something? So maybe a draft pick out of it. I don't know. It just seems so unlikely to me that they can actually do anything. What needed to happen was they needed to do it in the offseason.
Yeah.
But so I'm just thinking, does anyone think the Oilers could win the Stanley Cup this year?
No.
No.
I
I don't.
What do you mean by think? Like, do I think could they? Of course.
Yeah.
Are they going to? Most likely not.
So, and I would say, just looking at this year, goaltending has been probably the biggest issue with the Edmonton Oilers. Like, what's his name in the World Junior goalie from last year? That is it, Levi? That's with Florida. Is that, I know I think he's in the minors, but is that somewhere that, I know Skinner's got to be better, but I think you have to move on pretty soon from the two guys that they have. And if you're not going to be a contender, why not get some guys that could possibly shore up that spot and become like a Campbell sooner rather than later?
Because Gager, I think the danger is, though, the Oilers can't miss the playoffs. Like, regardless if we think they're going to the final, they have to be a playoff team. And I think the issue right now is that the goaltending we don't know if it's going to be good enough to take the team to the playoffs. And there's more issues to the team, right, Gager? So I think that's the issue here, where I agree with you. They should go younger and try to get a guy for years down the road, but they need one right now too. and I think any goaltender trade the Oilers try to make, Koskinen has to go the other way because of the money, right?
Yeah, I mean, the most likely solution here, guys, is that Stuart Skinner, or the most realistic is that Stuart Skinner becomes your guy.
Yeah.
And finds a way to step in and to be the guy. That's the cheapest and most efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
But Cass, they won't call him up though. They're going to roll with Smith and Koskinen.
Tippett does not like inexperience, man. He wants experienced guys. That would be
no
frustrating.
Matter how bad they are, though.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. Seriously, though.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That is really tough. I'm a goalie, so I've kind of not quite been in Skinner's shoes, but like, God, it's such a glorious opportunity for him to just take the reins and run with it if they would just give him the ball, right? It kind of happened with, I keep going back to Campbell, his situation. Like, Leafs they had injuries and they just went with a guy, and it kind of worked out, and he was playing well and stuff like that. But man, they got nothing to lose now.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you keep going back to Mikko and you know what you're going to get. Like, why not try something different, like you're saying, Gager? Like Toronto did with Campbell. Hey, let's see what he has. What are you going to lose with Skinner doing that?
Isn't that the definition of insanity?
Skinner hasn't been awful.
No, and he's played. He showed that he, like that one game, I forget who it was, where he was just dynamite. Against Winnipeg. He was phenomenal. And so if he has the capability of essentially stealing games, like that's the one thing. Okay, he can play at a really high level. Give him some confidence. Let him know that. I would call him up, say, you're starting the next 5 games no matter what happens, and watch him go. Boom, done.
Fun conversation to have. Let's
I'm fired up today.
Keep it or clip it. I'm going to go right back to the goalies here. Just continue with this conversation. A goalie not named Skinner, Smith, or Koskinen will play for the Oilers at some point this year. Keep it or clip it.
Clip it. Not happening. I'm
with Cass. Clip it. It's just not like Dusty, you named 4 guys, and I don't know.
Jake Allen, in 4 of the last 5 years, his save percentage has been 908 or worse. Like, that's just not good enough to come in and save the team and be the guy. So,
Did you guys not hear me talk about my game 2 weeks ago with Claire Drake? It was
so clip it. Move on. Cale Makar is the best defenseman in the National Hockey League. Keep it or clip it.
Keep it.
I think he's close, top 3, but I still go Victor Hedman, so I'll clip it.
This is very close. This is very close. I'm gonna clip it for the exact reason that Hernan just said.
Yeah.
I think Victor Hedman, I still would have him ahead, but there will come a time in the near future when that is not the case. So I'm gonna clip it for now.
If you're starting a team tomorrow,
say clip it for now. Yeah. Go ahead, Gager.
If you're starting a team tomorrow and you're getting to your first D-man, who are you picking? Hedman,
Makar.
Are we talking
in a heartbeat.
for a franchise moving forward or to win immediately this season, 1 year only? Because then I think the answer is Hedman for me.
Question.
But Makar would be the guy I build a team around at this stage of their career. Yeah. I think they're the best 2 defensemen in the league. I don't think it's debatable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Fox is running up there.
Fox is good too, actually. You're right. Yeah. Man, he's a talented offensive guy, isn't he? Man, ridiculous. All right. Speaking of defensemen, the Oilers' blue line misses Chris Russell. Keep it or clip it.
Keep it. He's good for like 15 more saves a night, and they need that. So keep it.
I'll keep it because I'd rather play him over Cuckoo right now.
When was the last time, aside I know he's been injured, but you saw Chris Russell make a 10-bell mistake?
He's been relatively steady, hasn't he?
He gives up the zone. He backs in too much, but he takes away shooting lanes, and he doesn't make huge.
He makes smart
mistakes.
plays with the puck. He does
smart plays. So absolutely keep it.
What a great contract too this year, right? Gotta love that Russell contract, $1 million. All right, final one. Ryan McLeod is fine as the Oilers' third line center for the rest of the season. Keep it or clip it.
As long as his ice time's allotted and he's not sitting there all the time. Yeah, keep it.
Because if the Oilers are going to go out and get anyone, it's a goaltender, hopefully, and he's playing better every game outside of his little mishap yesterday with not shooting. I think he's really coming on, so why not?
I don't know how you even call that. To me, that's not a mishap. Like, it's a misread. Like,
misread,
player,
yeah.
He knew what he was going to do. Like, that was in his mind. The second he cuts across the net, that's
and
what
going
he was
back.
thinking of doing.
Yeah,
he was thinking about going back. Now he didn't recognize that he would have had an opportunity, and he did. So I don't even know. I don't want to criticize him that much on that. Will he be? Will he be?
He's fine. Ryan McLeod is fine as the Oilers' third line center rest of the season.
Yeah. I'm gonna clip it because I'm not quite there yet. I think long term, like next year, I would say probably I'm comfortable with it. But the guy's only got 30 games, around of NHL experience. Speaks a little bit to the depth of this team. So I'm gonna clip it. I'm not quite there yet with Ryan McLeod.
I like the way he's skating with the puck now. Like he's actually transporting that puck through the neutral zone, which is just over 30 games in, right? Cass, you're right though. I mean, they didn't experience if you want to try to get back in the mix, maybe, but I like him. So we'll see how that one plays out. All right, I guess when we chat next, it'll be a game day episode before the doom and gloom of a game against the Ottawa Senators. That means everything on the season heading into a break. So see you guys on F1 Clash. Sign up, Cass.
Yes.
Sign up. We'll be there. Have a good weekend, boys.
Can I play you guys? Like, do we play against each other?
I think we need to set up a group, and then we can be like 2 guys and a goalie, the racing team.
Because that's the only way I'd play that game is if I could beat you guys.
Okay. Let's do it.
Well, I feel like you're like the smartest one out of the 4. That's no disrespect to any of us, but I mean, I think you do really well in that game.
Hernan,
The problem is that it'll turn into an obsession.
you've been in quarantine for too long, buddy. You got to get back out there in the real world.
I have. I need some fresh air.
Cass does have a little Toto Wolff going there. Eh? Like,
It
Yeah.
does,
put on a
doesn't
white dress shirt and you're good.
Yeah, you can pull it off, buddy. Have a good weekend, boys. Talk to you later.
Later.